Thanks for joining us today. It is Whiskey and Wisdom Wednesday, and we're pairing it with coffee this morning because it's a little early. Because we're connoisseurs, not necessarily. It's afternoon somewhere, I guess.
It's afternoon somewhere.
Thanks for joining us again today. Will Herring, All Western Mortgage, Cory Williams, eXp Realty, and Living the Dream team. Because after all, we're living the dream, and you should too. We're coming to you today because I want to explain interest rates, and I'm looking forward to this because, my friend, this is a big topic.
It is.
They've been so volatile. We've seen historic moves in interest rates over the course of the past 12 months, maybe even 6 months, but for sure the last year has been historic. So the Fed raises the interest rates. So automatically the home purchase rate's going to go up, right?
Not necessarily.
Oh,
not necessarily.
Okay. Do tell, my friend.
I will tell. There is a correlation.
Okay.
But it's more about the price of money and the length of time you're borrowing the money.
Okay.
America's country, our country, as far as the money situation, is run by the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve is concerned about inflation because the Federal Reserve provides the U.S. dollars to the U.S. Treasury.
Okay.
So if there's inflation, if the inflation starts getting out of control, the Federal Reserve's job is to control that, control the inflation beast. If America is doing great and people are making money hand over fist, they're also supposed to control that.
Okay.
So we used to say that the Federal Reserve's job is to take away the punch bowl just when the party starts going. Unfortunately, because we have a Federal Reserve that operates and justifies the amount of money that they want to put into the U.S. Treasury, they do control the Fed rate, that's called.
Okay.
Okay. Our mortgage rates are controlled by the investors, the individual investor. Consider yourself as an investor. You're going to loan out money to your brother for 2 weeks, and you're probably not going to charge him any interest. But in our situation, we're loaning out money to strangers that qualify for a mortgage for 30 years.
Okay.
So let's pretend that there's a $1,000 profit on a mortgage loan. $1,000 a month comes into the investor. That's their profit. That's the money that they get because they loaned you enough money to buy a house.
Okay.
Let's say that $1,000 today can fill 4 grocery carts full of food.
Okay.
Let's call it 4 grocery carts. You're going to throw meat in there. You're going to throw eggs in there. You're going to throw milk in there. You're going to throw all this stuff in there. And you have 4 grocery carts full of food with $1,000. Well, think about 5 years from now. They're still going to get that $1,000 of interest or profit.
Okay.
Can you still fill 4 grocery carts 5 years from now?
No.
Can you fill 4 grocery carts 10 years from now?
Unlikely.
Unlikely. Let's pretend that you can only fill 3 grocery carts 10 years from now.
Okay.
Well, they loaned you the money on a 30-year basis.
Okay.
So now their money is 25% less valuable because they can only fill 3 grocery carts instead of 4 grocery carts.
Wow.
Because they know the money will become less valuable due to inflation,
Yes.
they're weary about loaning it out at 5%. They'd rather loan it out at 6%.
Okay.
Because now they can make a bigger profit during that amount of time that you're going to have the money.
Okay.
10 years from now, it's only 3. 20 years from now, it might only be 2 grocery carts.
Okay.
So the money is diminishing. 20 years from now, it's only worth half of what it used to be.
Okay.
That's why interest rates go up, because the Federal Reserve didn't control the actual inflation.
Interesting. Now, does inflation happen naturally, or is it only going to happen with certain, economic things that are in place, or is it just going to happen naturally that the cost of goods and services will just naturally increase with time?
That's a great question. No, it's designed. Our government wants a specific amount of inflation, if you will.
Okay.
During President Obama's term, he tried to get inflation to 3%, and he really couldn't. All of President Obama's term, the inflation was only at around 2.5 to 2.7%.
Okay.
He was trying to start the inflation to make it happen, and that's really what's happening with that. Is why the government would want that is because the government is trying to get the young people to enter the market with their dollars, okay? They won't enter the market with their dollars if they can't afford to buy anything. And if you're getting paid minimum wage, or let's say you've got a starter position, you can maybe afford a car payment. You're not thinking about a house in the future. So the government is trying to get young people involved in the market, and that's why they want 3 to 4% built into our inflation system. They want 3 to 4% is what the goal is.
Okay. And where are we seeing inflation today that's really driving that Fed rate up?
Right. We just got numbers about a week and a half ago, and we're at 6% year over year.
Okay.
So 6% includes a lot of things, but not energy and not housing. Okay. So the government has different matrices that they look at, and the one that they like the most is called the CPI, and that one's at 6% right now.
Okay. For those of us that don't know what the CPI is, would you mind explaining, please?
Yes, it's a consumer price index, and it's really what Americans are paying for goods and services, not including energy and housing.
Okay. I like the grocery cart analogies because then you're speaking my kind of language, right? But I love that. It's helped me to kind of wrap my head around sort of why the investors, why the people that are actually lending the money are saying, hey, we're a little unsure. And when we're seeing the price of goods and services go up so quickly,
right,
it's causing a little trepidation, and it's causing us to really second guess and say, hey, we better charge a little bit more now because we know that our profits aren't going to be as worth as much
right,
10, 20, 30 years down the road.
Right.
That seems inevitable.
One of the things that's part of this CPI is food prices. You guys are all seeing the food prices go up. The grocery cart analogy is great for that. But believe it or not, durable goods are going down. The price of a washing machine is less than it was a year ago.
Okay.
Because goods and services are part of this CPI number. They take all of it at once. You might have seen the bacon price double. That's part of the CPI, even though it's only 6%.
Okay. Why did the interest rate, like last year we saw the interest rates increase faster than we've ever seen it
right,
in the history.
Right.
In a several month period. Then we started to see it calm down. In the beginning of the year, they actually dropped. We saw home interest rates for a 30-year mortgage drop.
They did.
Now they're back on the rise.
Right.
Number one, why are they back on the rise when they had just dropped? And number two, what do you expect for the rest of this year as we kind of enter Q2? What are your predictions for kind of the rest of the year?
Good question. So the interest rates were climbing all last year because the Federal Reserve was trying to control inflation. October 22nd, we bounced off of this floor and they started getting better.
Okay.
We didn't notice that they were better because you still heard sevens, but at some point in January, you started hearing sixes again, and sixes are way better than sevens as far as rates are concerned. So people were entering back into the market. They were taking their lender letter. They started waving it over their head again. They said, hey, I still want to buy a house. Let me buy a house. And people were entering back into the market because the rates had gotten better. The rates had gotten better, long answer, short answer, because they thought that the inflation was getting under control.
Okay.
There were some numbers out there, job numbers, in fact, the job numbers are still historic lows right now. The job numbers came in, there was some good news in the inflation market.
Right.
We saw mortgage rates come down.
Right.
And the investors actually had it wrong because the numbers that they were looking at weren't accurate enough for them. And so here we go, back on the rise again. All of February, the rates got worse. All of February. Hopefully we'll be bouncing off of another floor here, and getting into a better position soon.
Okay. Somebody's calling him already about the interest rates. I mean, that's just how it is. Okay, so should we cross our fingers for the rest of the year? Like, where do you think we'll end up?
Well,
you know, what are we sitting at today, and where do you think we'll end up, you know, at the end of the year?
So I know I love what you always say. You tell people, buy today at today's prices and then use tomorrow's money to refinance later into a better loan.
Yeah.
On a $560,000 purchase, if you drop 1 percentage point, you're going to save a lot of money. I'll have some math for you here in a second. Every single time there's been a recession since the 70s, the interest rates fall during a recession.
Okay.
Always, 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 because the Federal Reserve is trying to stimulate the economy, so the Federal Reserve will start lowering the interest rates. To answer your question, they went up faster than they've ever gone up since the 80s.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve has raised the Fed rate faster than any time period all the way back to the 80s.
Okay.
So hence the mortgage rates were following suit because of the inflation monster.
Okay.
If we have a recession, the rates will fall. The Federal Reserve will control that by lowering the Fed rate.
Okay.
They will try and stimulate the economy. That economy stimulation will get investors back out there, the money will be cheaper, and the interest rates will fall. The average is 2.5%. The average is 2.5% during a recession.
Okay.
So if we have to lock somebody at 7% today, they'll be at 4.5% if we get a 2.5% drop.
Okay.
That's $760 a month savings on that $560,000 house.
Yeah.
The reason I have that number in my head is because I just did the math this morning for a client.
Okay.
$760 less per month.
Wow. Okay. Well, the reason I suggest to wonderful clients out here that they buy today and use tomorrow's interest rates is because that's part of our partnership together, right? Is that you offer to not charge anything,
Right.
To refinance between 6 months and, you know, after that 6 month period.
Right.
And so that's why the relationship is so important, and finding a team that can really partner together, lock arms, and have a keeper's heart, if you will, understanding, okay, that it's not about the dollars, it's not about the commission, it's about helping people get into what their dream is, which oftentimes is a home. It enables them to do the things that are important to them, maybe their family, and have the lifestyle that they want to live. So. Right. Want to thank you for that partnership that we have, and that's Absolutely. Why we do that and why I make those recommendations to folks.
Well, if you do get a refinance in the future, let's pretend you're only saving $500 a month. We're not going to charge anything. All Western Mortgage doesn't charge anything for that. All we're trying to do is lower your rate.
Yep.
I already have all your paperwork, most of it, and we put that in. If we lower your payment by $500 a month, but you're going to pay, let's call it $2,000 to $2,500 in third-party costs. Well, those third-party costs are made up in 5 months if you save $500 a month.
Absolutely.
In 5 months. So here's the question. Are you going to keep the house for 5 months or more? Then it does make sense to do that refinance in the future.
It's just math. So if you want somebody with a big heart and a calculator that works, give us a call. Let us know how we can help. Will, as always, it's a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks for walking us through that. And if you want more economical stats and data, this is your guy right here. Appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you.
We're signing off on this one. Until next time.